Brother, don't die. The 5-year-old little sister cried her heart out. I opened my eyes and saw an unbelievably beautiful woman standing by the bed. She was my wife. Unfortunately, she was mute. For 2 years, she had been raising her foolish husband and little sister-in-law all by herself, never once complaining. People in the village said a shoulder pole had knocked some sense into me. Only I knew that this body had been given a different soul. In my previous life, there was endless overtime and endless late nights, until I finally dropped dead at my desk from overwork. Now that I've woken up, looking at my wife's rough fingers and my sister's thin, pointed little face, there's only one thing I want to do: make money. I'm going into the mountains tomorrow. But why is the hunting rifle my father left behind in my older cousin's hands? My name is Chun Wang, but strictly speaking, I am no longer the original Chun Wang. In my dazed state, I heard a child crying. The voice became clearer and clearer, exploding right beside my ear. Brother, don't die? I don't want you to die. Please come back to life, okay? I'm begging you. Brother? Where did I get a little sister from? I clearly only have a younger brother. My consciousness slowly crawled back, and I gradually opened my eyes. The ceiling beams were wooden, high and old, dark and gloomy. This scene didn't match any room I'd lived in over the past 30 years. I tilted my head. Ah, it's haunted. The room instantly erupted into chaos. 7 or 8 unfamiliar faces crowded in front of me, each expression more dramatic than the last. Only the woman at the very edge was different: an oval face, willow leaf brows, and a pair of watery almond eyes. Though her face was full of shock, the joy and concern in her eyes couldn't be hidden. She was so beautiful. Brother, you really came back to life. Haha, that's great, brother. The little girl who had been crying threw herself straight onto me. She looked 5 or 6 years old, wearing a floral padded jacket with her hair in 2 little pigtails, so thin that her chin came to a sharp point. Strangely, I felt an indescribable sense of closeness to her. My head throbbed, and unfamiliar memories began pouring in. The others in the room were still arguing. Old Wang, you really didn't hit him with the intent to kill? How was I supposed to know it was him? It was already dark, and I thought a thief had broken in. Fool A Wang never steals or sneaks around. There must be some misunderstanding here. Fool A Wang. That's right, I'm Fool A Wang now. In my previous life, I was 30 years old, a corporate drudge at an internet company, staying up for days and nights on end before dropping dead at my desk. The moment I opened my eyes, my soul had transmigrated into the body of this fool who was also named Chun Wang. A high fever in childhood had damaged his brain, leaving his intelligence permanently stuck at that of a 7 or 8-year-old. His parents were both poor peasants, and his father was a mountain hunter who often went into the mountains to hunt and gather medicinal herbs. Thanks to that trade, the family got by fairly well, and they even found a beautiful wife for their foolish son. It was the woman by the bed, named Lin Xiuqin. Unfortunately, she was mute. If not for that flaw, with her looks and qualities, matchmakers would have worn down the doorstep. 2 years ago, mother suddenly fell gravely ill, and father went into the mountains to look for medicine. When he came back, he was already a cold corpse at the bottom of a cliff. Mother, weighed down by guilt and worsening illness, passed away a few days later as well. A family of 5 was left with only a fool, a newly married mute wife, and a nursing child barely 2 or 3 years old. In times like these, every household was poor. Without able-bodied labor, there was no way to keep life going. Fortunately, his parents left behind some money. Lin Xiuqin was gentle by nature, but strong to the core. She firmly refused her natal family's suggestion that she return home and took this household onto her own shoulders. She cared for her foolish husband, raised her little sister-in-law, and managed all the work inside and outside the home. When the memories finished merging, a new Chun Wang was born. I calmly accepted it all. In those 30 years of slaving away, I saved up quite a bit of money. I had planned to work a few more years, then go back to my hometown and take it easy, but instead I lay down straight into a coffin. Now that I've transmigrated to this era, it feels instead like I've broken free from some kind of cage, my whole body light and carefree. From today on, I'm the village fool A Wang. Village chief, I remember what happened now. It wasn't Uncle Wang's fault, I said to the man in his 50s. Everyone in the room froze. A Wang you. Village chief Chen Weiguo looked stunned. I made up an excuse on the spot. Uncle Wang's shoulder pole seemed to have knocked some sense into me. Really? I have that kind of ability? Wang Fuqiang scratched his head. His wife smacked him. And you're proud of that? Don't fool around like that again. If someone really dies, can you afford to pay for it? Little Chen Xiaoyu cheered. Big brother got smarter. That's great. Only Lin Xiaoqin looked at me with a complicated expression, doubt mixed with something I couldn't quite describe. After a few more words and confirming that I was fine, the village chief and the others left. It was completely dark out. Lin Xiaoqin went to the back room to cook, and I got out of bed and wandered around the house. The house had clearly been standing for many years, a single-story pine structure. The front part was the main room plus 3 bedrooms, and past a threshold was the backroom kitchen. Behind it was a small yard and a pigsty, which was empty. Xiaoyu, aren't we raising pigs? The little girl pouted. Brother, did you forget? A few days after sister-in-law bought the piglet home, you took it and roasted it with brother Jia. Sister-in-law cried for ages over that. Brother Jia? I frowned, and a sharp-featured, monkey-faced image popped into my head. The neighboring Qiao family, one of the few outsider households in the village. Qiao Jijia, about the same age as me, was a well-known loafer. These days, nobody even gets enough fat in their diet, and the Qiao family was even poorer. They still had to save up money to get this idle good-for-nothing a wife. Qiao Jijia was quick-witted, but he never used his brains for anything proper, spending all day thinking about petty theft. Everyone in the village avoided him, so he could only trick foolish Ah Wang. The roast-suckling pig incident was the first time. After that, foolish Ah Wang was duped by him into doing it a few more times. This time, too, he was the one who egged foolish Ah Wang on to steal a chicken from old Wang's yard while he stood watch outside. In the end, foolish Ah Wang was knocked flat by old Wang's shoulder pole, while Qiao Jijia had long since vanished. That's right, brother, don't play with him. He's not a good person. Xiaoyu tilted her head up, speaking with complete seriousness. I laughed. How do you know he's not a good person? That's what everyone in the village says. I'm not stupid. Haha. All right, I'll listen to you. Pinky swear. Pinky swear. And if we break it, we'll hang by the hook. Won't change for 100 years. While I was fooling around with my little sister, the corner of my eye caught the doorway to the back room. Lin Xiaoqin was leaning against the doorframe, a gentle smile in her eyes as she quietly watched us. Dinner's ready? I asked. She nodded. Time to eat meat. Xiaoyu ran over and took her hand. I followed behind, feeling a little emotional. Back in the era before my rebirth, bringing home a wife meant treating her like an ancestor, and mothers-in-law, daughters-in-law, sisters-in-law, and sisters were bickering every day. If she knew there was also such a young little sister at home, she'd most likely refuse to marry in the first place. Nothing like now. Dishes were set out on the 8 immortals table. A small bowl of a few slices of cured meat stir-fried with chili, 2 plates of greens from the yard, a bowl of pickled radish, and 3 bowls of mixed grain rice. The food looked plain and watery, like there wasn't even a drop of oil in it. I didn't say anything. I picked up my chopsticks and first gave 2 slices of meat each to my little sister and my wife, then picked up some greens and put them in my mouth. Bland. Sure enough, no oil. Born in 1995, I'd only ever heard older generations talk about how hard life was back then. Now I'd finally seen it for myself. No wonder the little girl was sallow and skinny, without enough dietary fat for so long. Of course, her nutrition couldn't keep up. I need to quickly find a way to make money. My wife should still have a little money left, but definitely not much, and there's no way she'd take it out to improve our meals. The only reason she's managed to keep us 2 burdens going until today is by stretching every penny as far as it can go. Eat, both of you. Why are you staring at me? The 2 of them stared at me blankly. Brother, you've become better. Xiaoyu smiled sweetly. In the past, silly brother would just bury his head in the meat and eat, never caring whether anyone else got any. Hurry up and eat. What? Are you afraid I'll snatch it from you? I pretended I was going to grab the meat from her bowl. No. The little girl quickly lifted her bowl and shoveled a big mouthful of rice into her mouth. Her cheeks puffed out like a hamster's. Wife, you should eat too. Don't let her finish it all by herself. I turned and smiled at Lin Xiaoqin. Her face instantly turned red, and she lowered her head shyly and kept eating. After the meal, Lin Xiaoqin cleaned up, and when I wanted to help, she pushed me away. I didn't insist. I told Xiaoyu to give her a hand, then moved a chair and sat down by the door. To be honest, even after eating 2 bowls of that food with no oil in it, I still didn't feel full at all, and the coarse mixed grain rice was so rough it scraped my throat. Back then, when I'd gotten tired of rich food and occasionally wanted to watch my diet, even those fat-loss mixed grain meals were way better than this. I'd just been reborn, and the novelty was still keeping me going. If this went on for a few more days, I definitely wouldn't be able to stand it. Thinking about how just a few slices of cured meat had made the 2 of them so happy, the more I thought about it, the more I couldn't sit still. I had to make money. After mulling it over for a long time, I decided I'd still go into the mountains. Dad's skills are a ready-made path. Fortunately, Guns haven't been completely banned yet these days, so the supply and marketing cooperative and sporting goods store should be able to sell double-barreled hunting shotguns. In my previous life, I was a regular at the shooting range, a longtime premium member, and I'd even gone abroad to hunt black bears in the field. When it comes to shooting, I've got some foundation. But just knowing how to shoot isn't enough. I also need to recognize medicinal herbs and understand the habits of prey. Just as I was thinking, I heard Xiaoyu call from behind me. "Brother, what are you doing?" I turned around and saw her tug the pull cord switch, and the main room lit up. The village only got electricity last year, and even now the power still goes out often. Country folk are frugal. If there's nothing going on, they don't turn on the lights and just go to sleep when it gets dark. "Come here, I want to ask you something." The little girl came trotting over. "What is it?" "When Dad used to go into the mountains, did he leave anything behind?" The smile on her face vanished at once. "I don't know. I can hardly even remember what Mom and Dad looked like anymore." I rubbed her head. "Sorry, I'll ask your sister-in-law in a bit." She obediently nodded and gave a soft mm. After Lin Xiaoqin finished cleaning up and came over, Xiaoyu hurriedly asked for me. Sister-in-law, did Dad leave anything behind?" Lin Xiaoqin froze for a moment and looked at me. "I want to go into the mountains to hunt. Dad used to go all the time, right? Let's see if there's anything useful left behind." The moment she heard I wanted to go into the mountains, her face turned deathly pale and she waved her hands repeatedly. "Brother, don't go into the mountains. It's dangerous." Xiaoyu grabbed my sleeve tightly. Her little fists clenched hard. The two of them were clearly traumatized by what happened to Dad and Mom. All right, I won't go. Let's go inside. It's a bit cold." I compromised for the time being. After cooking, the rural wood-burning stove would also heat water for bathing. Lin Xiaoqin first took Xiaoyu to wash, and I lay down for a while, only getting up when my younger sister called me. It was still the same routine. She had already arranged everything. The wooden chair was set out, the wash basin was brought over, hot water had been mixed with cold water, and she had tested the temperature by hand before placing it by my feet. "I can do it myself." I made as if to get up. She frowned and pressed down on my shoulder, shook her head seriously, then made a few gestures. I don't understand sign language, but seeing how determined she was, I could only sit there obediently. She squatted down and slipped her hands into the water to massage my feet. Her fingers, worn by years of labor, weren't exactly soft. If anything, a little rough, but pressing on the tops of my feet again and again, they brought an inexplicable sense of peace. My gaze softened. Foolish Wang really was a fool blessed with good fortune. Aside from being unable to speak, Lin Xiaoqin was probably the ideal wife in any man's eyes. Come to think of it, if muteness was acquired later in life, it should be treatable. If it can't be treated here, then spend money and go abroad. In the end, it all comes down to making money. After she dried my feet with a towel and then brought over a basin of warm water, wanting to wipe down my body too, I insisted on doing it myself this time. After washing up and changing into clean clothes, I felt an even stronger sense of belonging to this family. Marrying a wife like this, isn't she exactly what I used to dream of when I was slaving away like a beast of burden in my previous life? So I have to go into those mountains. The computer and internet skills I had in my previous life are useless in this era. I can't even find a place to be a corporate drone. "Wife, sit down. I'll bring you some water." I pressed on her shoulders and made her sit properly. She froze for a moment and tried to get up. "Don't move, I'll do it." I put on a stern face. She pinched the corner of her clothes, at a complete loss. I brought over the water and mixed in a bit more hot water. Girls probably like it warmer. I crouched down and set the basin in place. "Come on, let me massage your feet too." Her face turned completely red and her feet shrank back. "Come on, you just washed mine, and I'm not foolish anymore. I want to thank you now. These past 2 years, you've worked hard." I spoke softly. Her eyes reddened at once. Before she got married, her parents and siblings at home had always protected her. She'd only had a few good months after marrying into this family before her father-in-law and mother-in-law passed away one after another, leaving behind a little sister-in-law and a foolish husband, with everything inside and outside the home resting on her shoulders alone. She had always told her family that life here wasn't hard, but it was all a lie. The hardship and exhaustion were secondary. The hardest part was not being able to see an end to it. Now her husband wasn't foolish anymore, and he even knew how to care for her. She felt that everything she had endured over the past 2 years had been worth it. She let me take off her shoes and socks and place her feet into the warm water. "How is it? Does it feel good?" She nodded shyly, even her eyelashes trembling. Foolish Wang had the mind of a child and didn't understand anything between men and women, and she had been too embarrassed to take the initiative. Though they had been married for 2 years, they actually still hadn't consummated the marriage. They had only ever slept on the same bed. This was her first time experiencing someone cradling her feet and kneading them like this. It truly felt good, and she truly felt shy too. Wife, I want to tell you something. Let me go into the mountains. Hunting or gathering herbs, either is fine. I want to make money so you and my sister can live a good life. Her face hardened, and she glared at me angrily. Don't be in such a hurry. Hear me out first. I'm not foolish anymore. A grown man can't keep relying on you to support him forever. What will the villagers think of me? I know you're scared, but what happened to Dad was an accident. It was fate. We can't get stuck in a dead end. So many people from the village go into the mountains every year. Don't they all come back safe and sound? I'll find someone experienced to go with me and prepare thoroughly. Nothing will happen. You have to trust your man. Her expression gradually softened, and she lowered her head in thought. After a while, she suddenly got up and walked toward the front room. I followed her and saw her enter the room where Dad and Mom used to live, and take out a woven bamboo medicine basket from the very back of the cabinet and hand it to me. Dad left this behind. She smiled and nodded, then pointed inside the basket. I poured out the contents: a pair of scissors, a herb trowel, a small sheath knife, and a pair of rubber gloves. There was also a yellow little booklet. I opened it, and my eyes lit up. The booklet recorded the characteristics, medicinal effects, growing locations, and methods of harvesting and preserving all kinds of precious medicinal herbs found in the mountains. It was richly illustrated, and the handwriting showed several different styles. It was probably the lifelong accumulation of my old dad and several veteran herb gatherers. With this in hand, if I came across a precious herb again, I wouldn't have to worry about not recognizing it. Wife, Dad always had to carry a weapon for protection when he went into the mountains to gather herbs, right? Didn't our family have a gun? She froze for a moment, as if suddenly remembering something, and quickly started gesturing. Seeing that I couldn't understand, she pulled out a small notebook and pen from her pocket, quickly wrote a line, and handed it over. Yes, it was borrowed by our cousin from Uncle's family. I looked at the line of neat handwriting and read it aloud. She nodded hard. When was it borrowed, and why wasn't it returned? Chen Wang asked again. Lin Xiuqin quickly wrote down 2 more sentences. Not long after my parents passed away. I went to ask for it several times, but they said the gun couldn't be found. Couldn't be found? Bullshit. Chen Wang let out a cold laugh. In foolish Wang's memories and emotions, he was very disgusted with and resistant to Uncle's family. This family was the typical kind that fawned on the rich and despised the poor, always eager to take small advantages. When foolish Wang's parents were still alive, they lived quite well. Father Qin would often bring back game and valuable medicinal herbs from the mountains, and Uncle's family tried every possible way to curry favor and get some benefits. After his parents passed away, Uncle's family's attitude immediately took a complete turn, as if afraid of being dragged down by them, and they stopped visiting even during holidays and festivals. After Lin Xiuqin finished bathing and returned to the room, turned off the light, and the two lay down on the bed together, the atmosphere became somewhat tense and romantic. Chen Wang wasn't exactly inexperienced. In his 30 years of life, he had been in love twice, and both were long-term relationships lasting over a year. Matters between men and women were not unfamiliar to him. It was just that he had been single for 2 years before his rebirth. For some reason, though, the feeling at this moment was completely different. Perhaps it was because the era was different, and so was his identity. Now, he was the lawful husband of the woman beside him, and even more, her only support. Beneath the warm covers, Chen Wang slowly moved his left hand over. The moment Lin Xiuqin's hand was touched, she drew it back as quickly as if shocked by electricity. Just as Chen Wang sighed inwardly, that hand moved closer again and took the initiative to hold his large hand. Let's sleep, Chen Wang said softly. Too much had happened today, and his changes were too great. Lin Xiuqin was obviously not yet prepared. At the same time, he himself also needed some time to adjust. After all, she was his properly wedded wife, and he had already made up his mind to live well in this era, so there was no need to rush that sort of thing. Lin Xiuqin tightened her grip on his hand, feeling both moved and somewhat guilty. She was a very traditional woman. Before she was married, her mother had pulled her into the room, quietly told her many things, taught her that a married woman should follow her husband, and taught her how to serve him. Foolish Wang had not understood matters between men and women before, so she had simply let nature take its course, taking good care of him in daily life and fulfilling her duties as a wife. Now Wang was no longer foolish, and he had clearly changed in this regard as well. Just now, after she took off her cotton-padded jacket and pants. The way Awang looked at her was far too burning, making her cheeks flush hot, her heart race, and in flustered panic she turned off the light and slipped under the covers. Amid her nervous shyness, she was actually a little expectant too. From this one sentence Chun Wang said, she could feel that he was being considerate of her. Wait a few more days. Once I'm ready, I'll give myself to you. Lin Xiuqin thought to herself, only feeling that her husband's hand was very warm. After a tiring day, and after being badly frightened by her husband's apparent return from the dead, now that she had relaxed, a strong wave of drowsiness quickly swept over her, and she soon fell asleep. Listening to the soft, steady breathing beside him, Chun Wang also felt calm and peaceful inside, and before long, he too fell asleep. Nothing happened during the night. Early the next morning, just as dawn was breaking, Chun Wang woke up naturally, feeling comfortable all over and full of energy. He could no longer remember how long it had been since he had gone to bed and gotten up this early. Before his rebirth, years of overtime and late nights, with his days and nights reversed, had already caused all sorts of problems in his 30-year-old body. But now, in this young body, he only felt as if he had endless strength. Lin Xiuqin got up even earlier than he did and was already busy preparing breakfast. Chun Wang had nothing to do and felt embarrassed just standing there watching, so he helped add some firewood to the earthen stove, then took a broom and swept up the back room. Seeing this scene, Lin Xiuqin, busy at the stove, smiled faintly and felt that life was not bitter at all. Breakfast was simple too, freshly steamed cornmeal buns, pickled vegetables, and cornmeal porridge. Chun Wang went to the little girl's door and knocked to wake her up, and then the family of three happily ate breakfast together. After the meal, Lin Xiuqin had to go work in the fields. Even though it was already the beginning of winter, there was still plenty to do. For example, around the beginning of winter, the fields had to be flooded, a practice called winter irrigation, and this step directly affected the next year's harvest. This year was 1982, and the household land contract policy implemented at the beginning of the year had greatly stimulated the farmers' enthusiasm for work. Land was the root of the farmers' livelihood, and in order to give their family a better life, every household attached great importance to the fields allotted to them. If the temperature dropped again, it would go below zero, so the winter irrigation had to be completed before the ground froze. The irrigation period was very short, and several villages shared the same irrigation canal, so it was a very busy time. Wife, how about I go to the fields with you and take a look? Chun Wang suggested. Lin Xiuqin shook her head and raised her hand to point in a certain direction. Chun Wang understood and said with a smile, it's still early. I'll go to Elder Uncle's house later and ask about the gun. Brother, you're going to Elder Uncle's house? The little girl asked curiously. Chun Wang nodded. What are you going to their house for? Brother phone is so annoying. The little girl pouted, her face full of disgust. Amused, Chun Wang rubbed her little head and explained, he borrowed our dad's gun, and I have to get it back. I see, then you definitely have to get it back. The little girl nodded seriously, put her hands on her hips, and said, brother, then I'll go with you. If he won't give it back to us, I'll cry there, just keep crying. Uffed. Chun Wang was amused, and glancing at his wife, who was also smiling brightly, he reassured her, you don't need to go. Don't worry, your brother isn't stupid anymore. I won't suffer a loss. Really, you don't need me to go? No need. That's your trump card. You've got to use it at a more critical moment. Trump card? It means a very important, very powerful weapon, got it? Oh, that makes sense. The little one nodded with a solemn expression. Come on, wife, I'll go to the fields with you first and take a look. Chun Wang looked at Lin Xiuqin with a smile. Lin Xiuqin nodded cheerfully. After that, leaving his younger sister at home to watch the house, the two of them went to the fields together. The land in Qinjiao village was basically allocated according to population, the principle being that more people meant more land. For example, if someone got married and had children, they could receive another share of land. If they married off a daughter, they would lose one share. Every 3 to 5 years, the village would hold a meeting and redivide the land. Because it was a mountainous area to begin with, the amount of arable land was very limited. In Qinjiao village, the land allocated to each villager would not exceed 1 mu. When the land was divided at the beginning of the year, the village took into account that Chun Wang's parents had made quite a few contributions to the village and had only passed away 2 years earlier, so they were given a bit more. Now, with Chun Wang as the head of household, their family of 3 had 3.5 mu of land, mainly planted with corn, wheat, rice, as well as some sweet potatoes and peanuts. After arriving at the field, they still had to wait for the other families to finish irrigating, so Lin Xiuqin first took a shovel and started turning the soil. Chen Wang watched her work for a while and thought it looked pretty simple, figuring he could do it too. So he snatched the shovel and started doing it himself. Turns out, it really took some effort. Lin Xiaoqin smiled faintly and showed him how, and after adjusting the way he swung the shovel before turning the soil again, it was indeed much less tiring. Soon, villagers in the surrounding fields also came to work. Seeing how affectionate the couple was, the villagers were all astonished and started talking among themselves. Isn't that fool Wang? Did the sun rise in the west today? He came to the fields to help? Who knows? But why does he actually look like he knows what he's doing? It's just a momentary burst of enthusiasm. He'll run off in a bit. How could a fool possibly do this kind of work? Sigh. When you think about it, Xiaoqin really has it hard. She only had a few good days, and now she's got a fool and a little girl with her, and has to do everything herself. Haven't you all heard? Fool Wang had an accident yesterday. What happened? What happened? That morning, the story of Fool Wang stealing a chicken from Old Wang's family and getting his head knocked into sense with a carrying pole by Old Wang spread through the village all at once. Yesterday, the village chief had specifically told people not to spread this matter around, but it was obviously useless. In this countryside, some news travels even faster than the wind. Some people were shocked, but even more were skeptical, and some even directly formed groups and ran to Chen Wang's house to see whether he really wasn't a fool anymore. In the end, Chen Wang wasn't home, and only a little girl stood at the doorway with her hands on her hips, scolding them all at once. My brother isn't stupid at all. You're the stupid ones. All of you are fools, all idiots. Go away, don't stand outside our house. Meanwhile, after leaving the fields, Chen Wang went to the home of his nominal eldest uncle. Along the way, he ran into villagers several times, and they all took the initiative to greet him. He responded with polite smiles. Seeing that he really did seem not to be foolish anymore, the villagers all looked him up and down in astonishment. His eldest uncle's family built a new house last year, a rather imposing brick and tile house for the time, with a fairly large courtyard around it. It was said the new house had been built to help find a wife for his cousin Chen Feng, but to this day there was still no sign of one, simply because Chen Feng was a well-known loafer in the village, gluttonous and lazy, as well as short and ugly, so no one thought much of him. Eldest uncle. As soon as he stepped into the courtyard, Chen Wang saw his eldest uncle Chen Fugui sitting at the door smoking a dry tobacco pipe, and called out. Chen Fugui looked up at him, his expression slightly stunned. Wang, what brings you here? Where's brother Feng? I came to play with him, Chen Wang said with a cheerful smile, making it up as he went. Chen Fugui tilted his head and jerked his mouth, saying, he just got up and is eating inside. After all, they were relatives, so some surface-level courtesies still had to be observed. What surprised Chen Fugui somewhat was that the news someone had brought that morning was actually true. Wang's every move really no longer seemed foolish. Yesterday, they had quickly heard that Chen Wang had nearly been beaten to death by Old Wang, but none of them went over, choosing to pretend they didn't know. Then I'll go in and take a look, brother Feng. Chen Wang shouted and walked into the house past Chen Fugui. Where is he? Brother Feng. Who is it? An impatient voice came from the back room. Right after that, Chen Wang saw his dear cousin coming from the back into the main room with a bowl in hand, eating noodles as he walked. Wang. Seeing him, Chen Feng was also stunned for a moment. Brother Feng, eating huh? Chen Wang grinned. Chen Feng glanced at the noodles in his hand. There was an egg added, and on top there was also some leftover stir-fried meat from yesterday. You came at a really bad time. This is the last bowl. He stirred the noodles with his chopsticks, pretending to mix them, and covered the egg and meat on top with the noodles. In these times, no family had much surplus grain, and people in the countryside also didn't like going to other people's homes at mealtime to bother them, because the host would suspect they had come specifically to freeload food and drink. In Chen Feng's view, Chen Wang coming over at this time was very likely for that very purpose. It's fine. I've already eaten breakfast. Already ate? That's good. I was just wondering whether I should go get a bowl and share some with you. No need. Chen Wang sneered inwardly and got straight to the point. Brother Feng, after my parents passed away, a hunting rifle from my family was borrowed by you, right? Can you return it to me now? As soon as he said this, Chen Feng's expression changed slightly, his eyes darting away, and he thought that this guy wasn't an idiot after all. So why had he suddenly brought this up? Chen Fugui at the doorway also couldn't sit still and hurriedly cut in to ask. Wang, what do you want the hunting rifle for? That thing is very dangerous. You can't just play around with it. Uncle, I know everything you're saying. I'm not stupid anymore. I can't just rely on my wife to support me and do nothing. I want to be like my dad and go into the mountains to hunt and gather medicinal herbs. Chen Wang replied with a serious expression. Wang, stop fooling around. You, go into the mountains to hunt. Do you know how dangerous the mountains are? Chen Feng glared at him with a stern expression and said in a deep voice, wild boars weighing several hundred jin, black bears, venomous snakes, wolf packs, and even fierce tigers. Not to mention all that. Would you even recognize the paths in the mountains? Every year, hunters get lost and die in the mountains. I know. I'll find someone to go with me. I've thought it all through. I'm definitely going into the mountains to hunt. You just need to return the gun to me. Chen Wang said with firm eyes. Nonsense. Chen Fugui suddenly barked sharply, then said earnestly and sincerely, Wang, your father is gone, and I am your only elder now. I won't allow you to say such things as going into the mountains again. Your father died in the mountains. He would never agree to you going into the mountains. Hearing the other's words of pulling rank because of his age, Chen Wang felt a wave of disgust in his heart. If they really treated him as their own junior, then yesterday when foolish Wang died, he hadn't seen this family in that room at all. That's right. Wang, stop making trouble and go back now. His aunt also walked out from the back room, her face stern as she issued an order to leave. Heh, if you insist on being like this, then I won't pretend anymore. I'll lay it all out. Chen Wang let out a disdainful sneer. Wang, what do you mean? Chen Feng asked with a frown. In the 2 years since my parents died, what exactly has your family done? The whole village knows, so stop putting on the airs of an elder from my own family when you talk to me. Isn't that disgusting? Chen Wang spoke very harshly and directly. I came today for just one thing. To take back my family's hunting rifle. Whether you want to return it or not, you have to return it. Or don't blame me for making a huge scene and letting everyone in the village come watch the excitement. Chen Wang spoke word by word, his tone leaving no room for doubt. You dare? Fucking try making a scene. Have you become lawless? Chen Feng stepped forward 2 paces and glared angrily, starting to throw his weight around with him. You're too close. Your breath stinks. Get lost. Chen Wang raised his hand and gave him a casual shove, directly pushing Chen Feng, who was a head shorter than him, into a stagger, and the big bowl of noodles also fell straight to the ground. Well, there it goes, a perfectly good bowl of egg and shredded pork noodles, and he hadn't even had a single bite yet. Chen Fugui and his wife both looked pained. They hadn't even been willing to eat the egg and shredded pork themselves, and had left it all for their son. Fuck, you're courting death. Chen Feng flew into a rage and, without any courtesy, threw a punch straight at Chen Wang's face. Chen Wang raised his right hand to catch his fist and twisted hard. Ah! Accompanied by the sound of the wrist joint dislocating, Chen Feng let out a scream. Wang's parents had always felt deeply guilty about not taking good care of their son and letting him damage his brain from a fever when he was young. So they tried their best to make it up to him in everyday life. Every time Father Chen earned money gathering herbs in the mountains, he would buy all kinds of tasty food for his son. During the years when his body was developing, he never lacked nutrition at all. Combined with his parents' excellent genes, this made Chen Wang's physical condition much stronger than that of children his age. By the time he was 16 or 17, he was already over 1.8 meters tall, with broad shoulders and a sturdy build. His muscles firm and powerful. By contrast, Chen Feng had only just passed 1.6 meters in height, thin and small, looking like a little chick in front of him. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Damn, let go of me. You dare curse again? Ah, Wang, what are you trying to do? If you have something to say it nicely. Don't use violence. We're all family. The eldest aunt said in a flustered voice, trying to smooth things over. Whose family with you? Give me the gun. I only want my family's hunting rifle. Chen Wang's sharp gaze swept toward the eldest aunt. And he threatened, if you don't give it back, I'll cripple his arm today. Why you, how dare you? The eldest aunt turned pale with fright, staring at him in disbelief. What do I have to not dare? Chen Wang continued to apply force with his hand. Ah, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Wang, I was wrong. Don't use any more force, my hand is really going to break. Chen Feng's face twisted in pain, and he began admitting fault and begging for mercy. I'll say it one last time. Give the gun back to me. Stop it right now. That gun is already gone. Chen Fugui shouted angrily. Gone. Chen Wang's face darkened. Wang, I lost the gun. Let me go first. Give me some time, and I'll definitely get you a gun back. Chen Feng said urgently, drenched in sweat. Tell the truth. Chen Wang fixed him with a sharp stare. He wasn't stupid enough to believe that someone could just lose something like a gun. That's the truth, I really did lose it. Is that so? Then there's nothing more to say. No, Wait, I'll talk, all right. Chen Feng was truly frightened and could only compromise with a bitter face. Very soon, Chen Wang learned the full story. After his parents passed away one after the other, Chen Feng, this idle good-for-nothing, quickly set his sights on his father's double-barreled hunting rifle. He said he wanted to learn from his second uncle and go into the mountains to hunt and gather herbs. It was the first time Chen Fuguei and his wife had heard their son say he wanted to do something. So naturally, they were overjoyed and unanimously supported the idea. The family of three soon brought some inexpensive gifts and went to Wang's house, where the husband and wife worked together to say a lot of pleasant things before stating that they wanted to borrow the hunting rifle. Lin Xiuqin had only just taken charge of the household for a few days and wasn't very guarded yet, and at the time the eldest uncle's family's attitude hadn't changed yet either. She thought the gun would be of no use left at home anyway, so she agreed to lend it out. After Chen Feng got the gun, his enthusiasm only lasted 3 days, and he went into the mountains a few times. However, hunting was nowhere near as simple as he had imagined. With no experience at all and terrible aim with a gun, after several days he hadn't even managed to shoot a single pheasant, and instead had exhausted himself badly. After lazing around at home for a few days, he went twice more later on, and felt even more that hunting and the like was no work for a human. Wasn't it better just to lie around at home? Just like that, Chen Feng gave up the idea of hunting. The village loafers liked to gather together when they had nothing to do, boasting and playing cards and the like. Chen Feng had that bad habit too. One day, while playing cards with a few good-for-nothing friends, after losing all the money in his pocket, he still owed several dozen yuan. After returning home, he didn't dare tell his parents either. There was no way they would help him pay it back. They would only beat him hard. When he saw the hunting rifle hanging on the wall in the room, Chen Feng suddenly got an idea. He took the gun and went to find someone to sell it to. Sold it? Didn't you tell us that you ran into a black bear in the mountains and lost it while running away? Chen Fuguei glared angrily at his son. First Aunt also looked utterly stunned. Obviously, this couple had both been thoroughly deceived by their good son. Heh, you borrowed something from our family, and you think you can just sell it? That, but you weren't using it anyway. Are you an idiot? If we're not using it, does that mean it should be given to you? That was my dad's property. It belongs to my family, and it has nothing to do with you, understand? Chen Wang said sternly. Got it, my fault, it's all my fault. Chen Feng gave an awkward smile and nodded repeatedly. He had always been the type to bully the weak and fear the strong, and now he was truly scared. How was this still that foolish Wang who let him bully him? Chen Wang shook off his hand and looked at his uncle as he said, since the gun is gone, then pay up. My dad barely even used that gun, and he always kept it in excellent condition. Let's call it 200 yuan. Hearing this, all three of Uncle's family changed expression. These days, how much savings could any family have? Not to mention that their family had built a new house last year. Even if they could come up with 200 yuan, how were they supposed to live after that? 200 yuan? Are you robbing us? I didn't even sell it for that much. Chen Feng shouted angrily. That's your problem. Anyway, that gun is worth 200 yuan, so hurry up and pay. Chen Wang urged impatiently. No money. How could we have that much money? Oh heavens, why is life so hard? First Aunt began wailing at the top of her lungs. Wang, just treat the 200 yuan as our family borrowing it from you. We really can't come up with it right now. Can you go back first? We'll pay you back as soon as possible. Chen Fuguei suppressed his anger and tried to negotiate in a serious tone. Country people all care about saving face. These past 2 years, their family hadn't helped out this foolish nephew's family, and the villagers were already gossiping about it. If his wife's wailing drew the villagers over to watch the commotion, and they learned about the matter of borrowing the gun and not returning it, then he would be completely humiliated. Chen Wang shook his head and said, Sorry, this money has been owed for too long already. I don't trust you. Then what do you want? Chen Fuguei was so angry that his face turned livid. Chen Wang turned and walked outside, saying, When I came over, I saw that your pig pen has 2 pigs. The smaller one is mine. It definitely isn't worth 200 yuan, so I'll take a bit of a loss. No way, that one is to be sold to the state. First Aunt panicked. These days, families with the means generally raise 2 pigs. Before slaughtering one for the new year, they first have to sell one to the purchasing station. Families in worse circumstances slaughter one and sell half of it. The purchasing station also has rules. A live pig must weigh at least 130 jin to qualify. Even 1 jin less won't do. One New Year pig might be the source of holiday celebration and next year's meat supply for an entire family. If Chen Wang carried off the smaller one, then their family could only sell half of the big pig to the purchasing station, and they would only have half left for themselves. Chunwang didn't care about any of that and went straight out the door to the pig pen next to the house. The bigger one should weigh over 200 jin, and the smaller one should be around 100 jin. He had roasted the pig at home into suckling pig. His little sister said his wife had even cried at the time, so now this was a good chance to carry one back. Chunwang, don't go too far. Chen Feng stood at the doorway, pointing at him and threatening loudly. Then pay back the money now? Chunwang turned his head and shot him a glance. Chen Feng was momentarily speechless. Where was he supposed to get 200 yuan? He didn't even have 20 cents in his pocket. Chunwang pushed open the small side door and covered his nose as he entered the pig pen. It smells damn awful. Chunwang, you can't do this. His aunt made as if to go over and stop him, but his uncle reached out and held her back. Why are you stopping me? Go stop him. Our pig. Forget it. Let him carry it away. Are you crazy? His aunt was furious. Chen Fugui glared at her fiercely and asked, aggrieved and annoyed. Then what can you do? Really give him 200? Don't you understand yet? He's no longer that fool, Awang. That. Even so, we can't just let him carry off a pig like this, can we? I raised it with so much hard work. You also raised this unfilial son with so much hard work, and what was the result? Dad. Chen Feng showed a bitter expression. Just then, Chen Wang had already come out of the pigsty carrying a pig that was struggling nonstop. A pig weighing around 100 jin was no weakling when it struggled. Fortunately, although fool Awang wasn't very bright, his physical strength was truly formidable, and he held the pig tightly so it couldn't break free. I'm taking the pig. From now on, our two families owe each other nothing, and we'll keep out of each other's affairs. After tossing out those words, Chen Wang strode briskly toward his own home. What a sin. His aunt sighed again and again, her heart aching so much she could hardly breathe. Wow, piggy. Brother, where did this piggy come from? Seeing Chen Wang carrying a pig back, the little girl was overjoyed, dancing with delight. Brother Feng lost our family's gun, so this is compensation to us. From now on, it's our family's pig, Chen Wang said with a smile. The little girl's eyes lit up, and she happily clapped her little hands. That's great. That's great. Our family has a pig again. We'll be able to eat lots of meat at New Year too. Come on, let's put the pig into the pigsty. You'll have to help feed it from now on. Chen Wang instructed with a grin. Children in the 70s and 80s basically all experienced a childhood of cutting pig fodder after school. The main laborers in the family had to do production work, so feeding pigs by cutting pig fodder was left to the elderly and children. In his previous life, Chen Wang was born in the late 90s and had only heard about these things from his parents' generation. No problem, leave it to me. I guarantee I'll feed the piggy until it's nice and fat. The little girl smiled and patted her chest, accepting the task. After putting the pig in the pigsty, the brother and sister went together to cut some pig fodder and bring it back. What made Chen Wang feel a bit embarrassed was that he himself didn't even know which grasses could be fed to pigs, while the little girl knew very well. Previously, the little girl had helped Lin Xiuqin with feeding the pig, but after only a few days of feeding this year's pig, he had roasted it and eaten it. Now that he thought about it, the little girl had only said sister-in-law cried, but she herself had probably cried very sadly too. Little piggy, grow up quickly, I want to eat meat. Looking at the pig inside eating happily, the little girl hummed a little tune with a radiant smile. Chen Wang found it both amusing and heartbreaking. In the 2025 he had transmigrated from. Aside from children from ordinary families in remote mountain areas, who would still be this short of meat to eat. Not only did they get several meat and vegetable dishes and soups every day, but parents even had to carry a bowl and chase after them to feed them. Suddenly, Chen Wang thought of the bamboo grove he had passed by when he went to his uncle's house just now. In his previous life, while scrolling short videos, he had seen videos of cousins from Annan hunting bamboo rats in the wild. Bamboo rats have a clean diet, and their meat is delicate, lean, tasty, and very nutritious, making them a premium wild game. He had watched that video several times and still remembered it vividly. And he also remembered the techniques for catching bamboo rats. It didn't seem very difficult either. Xiaoyu, do you want to eat meat? Really delicious meat. Chen Wang asked with a light chuckle. The little girl looked up at him with her eyes shining, nodding like a pecking chick. Then be good and stay at home, and I'll go get some for you. Brother, you're not going into the mountains, are you? The little girl's gaze turned wary. No, your brother is going to catch bamboo rats, over by the bamboo grove. Bamboo rats? That's right. The meat tastes even better than pork, and I'll dig up some bamboo shoots too. Slice some potatoes and mushrooms, and stew it all in a clay pot. That taste, slurp. Though the little girl had never tried it, Just hearing his description was enough to make her almost drool with craving. Brother, hurry and go, hurry and go. I'll take good care of the house. Then I'm off. Home. Go brother, do your best, and catch a few more. Encouraged by his little sister, Chunwang took his tools and happily made his way to the bamboo grove. Like many animals, before winter arrives, bamboo rats store up enough food and then hibernate in their burrows. It had only been a few days since the start of winter, so this was exactly when bamboo rats were busiest. However, bamboo rats are more active at night, and during the day they generally hide in their burrows, eating little and sleeping a lot. After searching around for a while, Chunwang finally spotted a patch of loose soil beneath a rock. According to what that video said, there was a good chance a bamboo rat burrow lay under this soil. He crouched down and turned over the loose dirt on top, and sure enough, he quickly found a hole. Cunning rabbits have 3 burrows, and bamboo rat burrows usually have hidden tricks to them as well, so catching one would still take some effort. Chunwang first found a suitable branch and cut it down, making a forked stick like a slingshot, sharpening the tip, and then inserting it upside down above the mouth of the burrow to hold the entrance in place. After that, he found another wooden stick and dug a small hole above the burrow entrance. Then he used the rope he had brought to make a hanging snare, with the trigger mechanism set at the entrance, and fed the rope loop down through the small hole above. Just like that, a simple trigger trap was complete. As long as the bamboo rat inside touched the trigger, the noose would tighten around its neck. Chunwang took the stick and tried touching the trigger. With a bang, the bamboo bent under pressure above the burrow entrance sprang back up with the rope loop hanging from it, and the trap was successfully triggered. Resetting the trap to its original state, Chunwang patted the dirt off his hands and smiled in satisfaction. Fortunately, he remembered that video very clearly, and his hands-on skills were pretty decent too. Chunwang didn't just wait around. He soon found 2 more bamboo rat burrows in succession and set up the same trap devices. Just as he was about to keep looking, he heard the sound of bamboo springing up, followed by a squeaking cry like a rat's. Got one. Overjoyed, Chunwang hurried to check the first trap. Sure enough, he saw a bamboo rat with its head caught in the noose, struggling desperately, bearing 2 pairs of sharp yellow buck teeth and screeching. It actually looked pretty fierce. Don't underestimate this thing. If those big yellow teeth bit you, you'd be in for a lot of suffering. Picking up the shovel he had brought, he dug 2 shovelfuls below the burrow entrance and soon got the bamboo rat out. Good grief, it had eaten itself round and plump, just like a little piglet. Chunwang lifted it by the rope and weighed it in his hand, guessing it had to be 4 or 5 jin. Just this one, together with some side ingredients, would already be enough for their family of 3 to have a full meal. Successfully catching this kind of wild game for the first time gave him a thrill and sense of accomplishment almost the same as catching a fish for the first time. Thinking that it was nearly time for lunch, Chunwang decided not to make any more traps. He squatted by the remaining 2 burrow entrances for a while and successfully caught another one. This one was a bit smaller, but it still had to weigh about 3 jin. There was still no movement at the last burrow entrance, so the bamboo rat inside had probably moved away long ago. During this time, Chunwang also dug up quite a few winter bamboo shoots. These winter shoots are bamboo sprouts that have not yet emerged from the soil, with tender flesh and a delicious taste, making them perfect for stewing with any kind of meat. Carrying 2 plump bamboo rats in one hand, a shovel over the other shoulder, and the winter bamboo shoots he had dug in the bamboo basket on his back, Chunwang headed home fully satisfied. On the way, he ran into an auntie from the village. When she saw the bamboo rats in his hand, she looked astonished and gave him a thumbs up in praise. Awang, impressive. Such fat bamboo rats. How did you catch them? Everyone knows these things are delicious, but they're really hard to catch. I never thought silly Awang could catch 2 of them. Haha, just lucky, just lucky. Awang replied with a cheerful laugh, casually brushing it off. Impressive, impressive. I heard old Wang's carrying pole knocked some sense into you. Looks like it's true. Now you're even bringing wild game home. Your Zyajin has finally made it through the hard times. I've wronged her. She should be back from the fields by now, and I need to hurry home too. All right, go on then. Remember to treat her well. That's a good wife. Got it, don't worry. I'm off. Chunwang nodded in agreement, then quickly slipped away. When he got home, the little girl saw the 2 plump bamboo rats dangling from his hand, and tears started flowing uncontrollably from the corner of her mouth. In times like these, no child would say something like how cute the bunny is, so it can't be eaten. Lin Xiuqin happened to be back as well. When she learned that he had caught 2 such big bamboo rats in the bamboo grove, she was both surprised and delighted. Bamboo rat fur is also worth money, and can be taken to the purchasing station to be exchanged for cash. As for Chen Wang's cooking skills, they were limited to boiling noodles or frying egg rice. He could also try simple dishes like scrambled eggs with tomatoes. As for how to cook bamboo rat, that was completely beyond him. Fortunately, Lin Xiaoqin had handled game before, and after skillfully slaughtering the bamboo rats and draining the blood, she scalded the bamboo rats with boiling water, then removed the fur and skin, took out the internal organs, and cleaned them thoroughly. Chen Wang and his younger sister didn't stay idle either. The little girl helped wash the side ingredients, then handed them to him to chop into pieces. With the three of them working together, everything was soon ready. Chen Wang immediately went to light the fire in the earthen stove, added some firewood, then turned his head and shouted, "Wife, the fire's going. You can put the wok on and heat the oil now." Carrying 2 vegetable baskets, Lin Xiaoqin walked over with a smile. She first poured a ladle of water into the wok for a quick rinse, then began pouring in the oil. Seeing her carefully pour in only a tiny bit of oil, Chen Wang couldn't help but say, "Wife, we only get to eat meat once in a while. Add a bit more oil. You and Xiao Yu are both too thin." Hearing this, Lin Xiaowen hesitated for a moment, glanced at the little girl beside her, smiled, and nodded, then poured a little more into the wok. Right after the oil heated up, she added several spices to remove the gamey smell and enhance the fragrance, along with Sichuan peppercorns, chili peppers, ginger, garlic, and other ingredients, then added the chopped bamboo rat meat and stir-fried it. An enticing aroma immediately spread through the air. "It smells so good, sister-in-law. This meat smells so good." The little girl stood on tiptoe and stared eagerly into the wok, clapping her hands and cheering with delight. Her little cheeks flushed red. Lin Xiaoqin's eyes and brows were full of smiles, and she couldn't help swallowing as well. Those few slices of cured meat yesterday were the only meat they had eaten this month, and compared with the aroma of this fresh bamboo rat meat, they were simply incomparable. After adding an appropriate amount of the source of life, she covered the wok and stewed it for half an hour. Then add side ingredients such as potatoes, winter bamboo shoots, and dried shiitake mushrooms, followed by seasonings like salt, soy sauce, MSG, and pepper. After stir-frying for a while, transfer everything to a clay pot and continue simmering it over low heat while rice starts steaming in the iron pot. It wasn't easy to get meat today, and there was plenty of oil too. So Lin Xiaoqin thought she might as well indulge for once and steamed pure white rice. In just 20 minutes, the little girl asked several times if it was ready to eat, and no one knew how many times she had swallowed her saliva. Finally, just as the rice was done steaming, the bamboo rat meat in the clay pot was also nearly done stewing. Chen Wang picked up the clay pot with a rag and poured it directly into a large soup basin, filling it to the brim, the broth thick and rich, glistening with oil, and just looking at it made it perfect to eat with rice. "Slurp, it smells way too good, sister-in-law. I want to use a big bowl for my rice." The little girl simply couldn't stop drooling and loudly clamored for a bigger bowl. Lin Xiaoqin smiled and nodded, taking out 3 bowls from the cabinet to serve the rice. The steamed rice was also cooked just right, each grain distinct, and she spooned the rice into the bowls 1 ladleful at a time before pressing it down firmly with the rice spoon. Soon, the 3 of them sat around the dining table. On the table was only a basin of braised bamboo rat with winter bamboo shoots, potatoes, and shiitake mushrooms. There were no other dishes, nor was there any need for them. There had originally been 2 plates of unfinished pickles, but Chen Wang had Lin Xiaoqin put them away first. In front of Chen Wang and the little girl were large bowls heaped with tightly packed white rice. Lin Xiaoqin's bowl had a little less, though still much more than usual. "Why are you all staring at me and grinning like fools? Let's eat." Seeing the 2 of them looking at him with cheerful smiles, Chen Wang found it somewhat amusing and picked up his chopsticks, first placing a piece of meat into each of their bowls. He also knew that both of them were waiting for him to use his chopsticks first. That was just how things were in those days. When eating, the head of the household had to be the first to start. Besides, being able to lavishly eat a whole pot of meat like this was also thanks to him. "Thank you, big brother." Looking at the piece of meat on top of the rice in her bowl, the little girl happily gave her thanks, then picked up her chopsticks and started eating. At only 5 years old, she was already quite skilled at using chopsticks. "You should eat too," Chen Wang said with a smile to his wife, while also picking up a piece of meat for himself to taste. The meat really was tender and delicate, stewed until soft and flavorful, with the seasoning just right. It tasted far better than pork. This meat is so delicious, really delicious." Chen Xiaoyu's face blossomed with a smile, and her short little legs dangling in midair started swinging back and forth. It really is good. Wife, your cooking is amazing. Chun Wang nodded in agreement and smoothly offered a round of flattery. Lin Xiaoqin's pretty face flushed slightly red, and she shook her head, pointing with her chopsticks at the bamboo rat meat left in the basin to indicate that it was the meat itself that was delicious. The meat is good, but wife, your cooking is even better. Chun Wang smiled and placed another piece of meat into her bowl. Big brother is right. The little girl puffed out her cheeks and nodded repeatedly, her mouth stuffed full of rice and food, making her speech muffled and unclear. Lin Xiaoqin smiled gently, feeling sweetness in her heart, and the exhaustion from working in the fields that morning vanished without a trace. Of the two bamboo rats, they stewed the bigger one, while the smaller one was cleaned and kept for later. Lin Xiaoqin was also very skilled at handling game, and she skinned both bamboo rats very neatly, with the hides kept intact, so they could be taken to the purchasing station and sold for money later. As the three of them ate heartily, the enticing aroma gradually drifted out of the house, over the wall, and reached the Chow family next door. The Chow family's lunch today was corn porridge, served with pan-fried tofu and 2 bowls of stir-fried greens. Compared with many rural families at the moment, this was already considered quite decent, just that it really didn't have much oil or meat in it. What a delicious meat smell! Whose family is stewing meat? Xiao Jijia twitched his nose and cried out in surprise. Always thinking about how to steal a chicken or a dog to improve his meals, he was extremely sensitive to the smell of meat. It really smells amazing. What kind of meat is stewing to smell this good? Gulp. Father Chow couldn't help swallowing, feeling that the food in his mouth had become as tasteless as chewing wax. Could it be that Fu Luang's family is stewing meat? Mother Chow looked toward Chun Wang's house next door, her face full of surprise, and muttered, "Is his wife crazy? She's so willing to spend like this. Are they not planning to live their lives anymore? I heard that yesterday, Fu Luang went to Old Wang's house to steal a chicken, and Old Wang knocked some sense into him with a shoulder pole." Old Chow looked at his son with a meaningful gaze. Ahem. Xiao Jijia coughed lightly twice and complained, "Dad, why are you looking at me like that? That has nothing to do with me. I'm your old man. How could I not know what little schemes you're up to? If you hadn't egged him on, would Fu Luang have done something like that?" Old Chow rolled his eyes and said, "Luckily no one died this time. Can you behave yourself from now on? If one day you really get yourself locked up, I won't be the least bit surprised." "Dad, what kind of thing is that to say?" Xiao Jijia gave a bitter smile and decisively changed the subject, cursing, "Damn it. That Fu Luang is really lucky, getting himself such a good wife. Then let's find you a mute wife too. I remember there seems to be one in the neighboring village." Old Xiao suggested irritably, "Is she as pretty and virtuous as a Wang's wife? In your dreams? Then forget it." Xiao Jijia shook his head, lifted his bowl, and tilted his head back to drain the corn porridge in one gulp. Then set down his bowl and chopsticks and got up to leave. "Where the hell are you going now?" Mother Chow asked irritably. "I'm going next door to see if I can mooch a meal." After walking out of the house, Xiao Jijia confirmed that the smell of meat was indeed coming from Fu Luang's house next door. A look of anticipation flashed in his eyes, and he quickly walked over. Yesterday, after tricking Fu Luang into climbing over into Old Wang's yard, he himself hid outside. The moment he heard Old Wang cursing from inside, he immediately turned and ran. Worried that Old Wang would come looking for him, he didn't go home either, but went to a friend's house in the village to watch TV. It wasn't until evening that they heard Fu Luang had been beaten to death by Old Wang with a shoulder pole. At the time, Xiao Jijia was so frightened that he was completely at a loss, and he almost couldn't resist running away. He spent the night trembling with fear at that friend's house, and this morning he heard more news, saying that a Wang had come back to life and had his mind cleared up. He wasn't foolish anymore. Only then did Xiao Jijia dare return home. As for a Wang no longer being foolish, he was half convinced and half doubtful. But he figured that no matter what, a Wang definitely still regarded him as a buddy. After all, in the entire Qin family village, he was the only one who used to hang out with him. Xiao Jijia entered the house, followed the aroma through the main room, and came to the back room, where he saw the three of them sitting by the table eating. Chun Wang and the other two also heard the commotion and looked toward him. "A Wang, what are you eating? It smells so good. I could smell it all the way from my house." Xiao Jijia asked with a cheerful smile, acting as if they were really close. Qin Xiaoyu stared at him warily, using her left arm, the one not holding chopsticks, to circle her bowl protectively. Her food-guarding manner was adorable. After seeing who had come, Lin Xiaoqin cast a worried look toward her husband. "What are you here for?" Chun Wang withdrew his gaze with an indifferent expression and continued eating from his bowl. Sensing the coldness in his tone, Xiao Jijia's smile froze on his face. Seeing this, the little girl and Lin Xiuqin both showed delight in their eyes. Neither of them wanted Chun Wang hanging around with Xiao Jijia. Wang, what are you doing? Don't tell me you're blaming me for leaving you behind and running off? Xiao Jijia forced a smile onto his face and explained stiffly. Bro, you've really misunderstood me. That bastard old Wang hit way too hard, and I was scared too. I was worried you might really get beaten badly. With my skinny arms and legs, I was no match for old Wang either, so I hurried off to find someone to help. By the time I found people and went to old Wang's house, you were nowhere to be seen. Then I heard from others that someone had died, and I was scared to death. I didn't even dare go home last night. Thank goodness you're okay. I heard that a blessing came out of your misfortune, and that you've even gotten smarter. I'm really happy for you, bro. By the time he said this, Xiao Jijia had already reached the dining table. When he saw the fragrant stew in the basin, saliva started flooding his mouth, and the cravings in his stomach began to stir wildly. What kind of meat is this? It smells amazing. Coming early is no match for coming at the right time. I still haven't eaten yet. Xiao Jijia hinted with a grin, just short of sitting down and begging for food outright. Chun Wang turned to look at him and said with an amused smile, Haven't eaten yet? Xiao Jijia's eyes lit up, and he nodded repeatedly like a pecking chick. But the little girl and Lin Xiuqin grew anxious inside. Then just stand here and watch us eat. Maybe if you keep watching, you'll get full. Chun Wang said in complete seriousness. Uffed. The little girl burst out laughing, luckily without any food in her mouth. Lin Xiuqin covered her mouth with her hand and laughed silently, her shoulders shaking nonstop. Xiao Jijia's whole face flushed red as he said in humiliation and anger, You're messing with me? Oh, so you're not stupid after all? Then why did you take me for a fool? Chun Wang questioned coldly. You. Xiao Jijia was struck speechless for a moment. Get out. Don't step through my door again, or don't blame me for being rude. Chun Wang shouted sternly. Chun Wang, how dare you treat me like this? Xiao Jijia burned with rage. Bang. Chun Wang slammed his bowl and chopsticks heavily onto the table and abruptly stood up. His burly body, close to 1.85 meters tall, gave off a startlingly imposing aura and an intense sense of pressure. I'll say it one more time. Get out. Fine, fine, Chun Wang, you've got guts. Just you wait. Xiao Jijia lost his nerve, dropped a threat, and turned to leave with an ugly expression. What a piece of work. Chun Wang muttered disdainfully and sat back down. As he picked up his bowl and chopsticks, he saw two pairs of bright, shining eyes looking at him. The little girl's face was full of admiration, and Lin Xiuqin also showed some admiration, though even more relief and joy. Stop looking at me like that. It's kind of embarrassing. Keep eating. Chun Wang was secretly very pleased, though on the surface he still pretended to be calm. Brother, you were so handsome just now. The little girl praised with a smile. Ahem, it was okay. You really were very handsome. Just average handsome. Average handsome. Hearing the siblings exchange, Lin Xiuqin found it extremely amusing, smiling until her eyes curved. That lunch left them absolutely stuffed. In the end, they even mixed the broth with rice and ate it. The little girl frowned, leaned back in her chair, and rubbed her round little belly, almost too full to move. You're not allowed to eat like this again. Chun Wang reached out and poked her little belly with his finger, speaking grumpily. After going so long without enough nourishing food, suddenly eating this much really could upset her stomach. Just now, Chun Wang had been worried about this and told her to stop eating, but the little girl refused. Now she was experiencing for the first time how miserable it felt to be stuffed. The little girl nodded pitifully. Lin Xiuqin brought over a bowl of warm water with vinegar added, smiling gently as she held it to the little girl's mouth. Drink it quickly. Chun Wang pursed his lips in amusement. The little girl obediently took a sip, and the sourness made her bare her teeth and grimace, her brows scrunching into a deep furrow. Chun Wang drank some too, and soon felt much better. After sitting for a while, he began thinking again about going into the mountains. Bamboo rats were tasty, but it was impossible to catch them every day. If he could bag a wild boar or a black bear or something, then they wouldn't have to worry about having no meat to eat for months, and he could also make quite a bit of money. The great mountain behind Chin family village had been called Bear Mountain since ancient times, simply because there had historically been many black bears there. Black bears were valuable, no question about it. A good bear gallbladder could sell for several hundred yuan, but running into one was also genuinely dangerous. In the nearby villages, every year there were mountain hunters who died deep in the mountains, and a large portion of them had encountered black bears. Most animals in the mountains, when they saw humans, would instinctively fear them and flee. And at the sound of gunfire, they would scatter and panic even more. Black bears were different. When they heard gunshots, they might choose to confront the danger head-on and charge toward the sound to attack humans. Black bears had thick hides and solid flesh. If an ordinary bullet didn't hit a vital spot, not only would the bear not die, it might instead be driven into a frenzy. Once a hunter got caught at close range, it would be very dangerous. Chun Wang had decided to go into the mountains, but he wouldn't be careless or reckless. First, he had to get a hunting rifle. Second, he needed to find a trustworthy partner who was highly skilled at hunting. And there were hunting dogs as well. Ideally, he could raise a few excellent hunting dogs and form a dog pack. Of course, good hunting dogs were hard to come by, so that would have to happen slowly. Live off the mountain by the mountain, live off the sea by the sea. In the nearby villages, there were quite a few people skilled at hunting. Hunters were also called Pao-tu, and the one with the best marksmanship and the richest experience was called an old Pao. Every old Pao enjoyed considerable prestige and status within dozens of li around. Chun family village happened to have one such old Pao, living on the north side of the village, the place closest to the mountain. His real name was Chun Jianjun, though the villagers also called him Chun Pao-tu. Speaking of this Chun Pao-tu, by a happy coincidence, he also had quite a good relationship with Chun Wang's family. One winter 10 years ago, Chun Pao-tu had gone hunting alone in the forest and ran into a big bug, meaning a tiger. Worse luck still, the hunting rifle in his hands malfunctioned at the time. In the life-and-death struggle with that tiger, one of Chun Jianjun's legs was bitten. Just as he was about to lose his life, he ran into foolish Chun Wang's father, who had gone into the mountains to gather medicinal herbs. Chen's father was also a fierce man. He rushed over and fired a shot, wounding the tiger and forcing it to flee. From that day on, Chun Jianjun's leg was crippled, and he rarely went into the mountains anymore. His son, Chun Dazhuang, however, had learned some of his skills and often went into the mountains to hunt. Chun Jianjun was also the kind of person who knew gratitude, and he had always remembered the life-saving kindness from back then. In the 2 years since foolish Awang's parents passed away, whenever Chun Dazhuang occasionally caught some game in the mountains, Chun Jianjun would have him bring some over to visit. During the half-day in the afternoon, Chun Wang went to the bamboo grove again and used the same trick to catch 3 more bamboo rats. He kept one at home, took the 2 fatter ones, and after leaving the house, headed toward the north side of the village. In previous years, fierce beasts from the mountains would often come into the village and injure people, especially during the bitterly cold winters when food was scarce. Such incidents had become fewer and fewer in recent years, but they had not disappeared entirely. Therefore, the only ones who dared live at the very north end of the village were a scattered few households, and some old houses had already been left vacant. Even from a long way off, Chun Wang saw a thin figure at the doorway handling some kind of prey. It was Chun Jianjun's son, Chun Dazhuang. It was said that not long after Chun Jianjun's son was born, he sought out an expert for guidance, and then gave his son the name Dazhuang, hoping he would grow up strong and sturdy. That expert seemed to really know something, because although his family clearly never lacked meat, Chun Dazhuang had always been small and skinny, and was often sick. "Brother Dazhuang," Chun Wang shouted loudly. Speaking of this brother Dazhuang, he was also a pitiful man. A few years ago, Chun Jianjun took out all his savings to find this son a beautiful wife. She was an educated young woman sent down to the village, not only pretty but also very learned. And at the time, quite a few eligible young men in the village had their eyes on her. Relying on the savings he had accumulated from half a lifetime of hunting deep in the mountains, Chun Jianjun helped his son fulfill this wish. However, the good times did not last long. When the policy allowing educated youths to return to the city came down, that young woman found an opportunity to quietly leave the village, never to return. Hearing the shout, Chun Dazhuang looked up at him, stood up, and a simple, honest smile appeared on his face. "Awang, what brings you here?" "I came to see you and Uncle." "Where's Uncle?" "He's inside." "What did you catch?" "I caught a few bamboo rats and brought 2 over for you." "Bad luck. I only got 1 pheasant." "Oh, these bamboo rats are really fat. If I'd known, I should have gone with you to catch these." As they joked, Chun Wang had already walked up and handed the 2 bamboo rats in his hands to him. "Here, clean them together, and we'll have a couple of drinks later." "No problem. I haven't had this in a long time. Just looking at it makes me crave it." "Haha, then I'll leave it to you. I'll go inside and check on Uncle." "All right." But before he could go in, Chun Jianjun, who had heard the noise, had already limped out. "Awang, you're here? Uncle, how have you been feeling?" Chun Wang asked with a cheerful smile. Chun Jianjun froze for a moment. then said with a beaming smile, I heard old Wang knocked some sense into you with a shoulder pull. I was planning to come check on you, and it looks like it's true. Dad, it's true. Just now when Wang talked to me, he didn't seem foolish at all anymore. Chen Dazhuang also came to his senses and looked at Chen Wang with surprise on his face. You're calling Wang foolish? I think you're the foolish one. How come Wang's wife didn't run away? Chen Jianjun glared fiercely at his son. Rural people all care a lot about saving face, and he was especially someone who had cared about face his whole life. The matter of his daughter-in-law running away had made him lose all face, and even now he still hadn't gotten over that hurdle in his heart. Dad, Chen Dazhuang looked embarrassed. Uncle, don't say that about brother Dazhuang. That woman was the one in the wrong. Don't worry. Even after returning to the city, her life may not necessarily be any better than it was here. Chen Wang chuckled lightly to smooth things over. Hearing this, both Chen Jianjun and his son felt much better. What are you standing around for? Hurry up and get the meat ready and stew it. Chen Jianjun said irritably to his son. Chen Dazhuang smiled and nodded, squatting down to continue handling the game. Come on, Wang, sit inside and have a cup of tea. All right. As a professional hunter, his cooking might not be all that great, but he was very efficient at handling game. By the time the sky had just begun to darken, Chen Dazhuang had already put together several dishes. The main dishes were two kinds of meat. The pheasant was stir-fried with chili peppers, while the more tender bamboo rats were stewed with two side ingredients. Of course, it wasn't as delicious as what Lin Xiuqin made, but it made up for it with generous portions, and the flavor was even more fragrant and spicy, perfect for drinking with. The liquor was very ordinary bulk sorghum liquor, costing just a few mao per jean, available at the small shop at the entrance to the village. With 3 grown men gathered together, there was no need for any fine liquor to drink to their heart's content. When he came over, Chen Wang had already told Lin Xiuqin that he would probably be having a few drinks here tonight, and that she and the little girl should eat by themselves. After a few cups of liquor, Chen Wang finally found a chance to bring up his wish to go into the mountains with Chen Dazhuang to hunt. Of course you can, Wang. I couldn't agree with your idea more. Chen Jianjun beamed with delight and glanced at his son beside him. That brat of mine is just too dull. He hasn't even learned half of my skills, and every time he goes into the mountains alone, I'm actually worried. As he said this, he lowered his head and glanced at his crippled right leg, a trace of gloom flashing in his eyes. Even someone like him, known as an old hand, had nearly lost his life. Anyone who hasn't truly encountered one can imagine how terrifying the big cats deep in the remote mountains and old forests are. Many hunters, the first time they run into one, when it lets out a tiger's roar right in front of them, may be scared out of their wits. Even if they make it back alive, they won't dare enter the mountains again. Especially a big cat that has eaten people. That is a dangerous presence that strikes terror into countless hunters. In earlier years, there had also been cases of big cats breaking into the village and eating people. At the time, the militia squad, fully armed, was ordered into the mountains to search for it, determined to wipe it out completely. Unfortunately, the big cat had already fled into the vast, deep mountains, and they were unable to find it even after more than half a month. So in the end, they could only give up. Right, Wang, tomorrow the two of us should go into the mountains together. Whatever game we get, we'll split it evenly. Chen Dazhuang invited him with an excited expression. Because of his personality, he had always kept to himself in the village and had few friends. Later, he married a beautiful wife, which only made the people his age in the village envy and resent him even more. After his wife left, he was also subjected to plenty of gossip and finger-pointing. Wang was probably the only one he could really talk to. That's great. What time are you heading into the mountains tomorrow? Chen Wang asked with a smile. 7 o'clock. I always go in very early. Okay, then I'll come find you at 7 and learn a thing or two from you. No, my dad is right. I've only learned a little myself. Chen Dazhuang waved his hand embarrassedly. It's fine. I'm not even at that level yet. Chen Wang grinned and looked at Chen Jianjun across from him as he said, Uncle, do you think you could take me as your apprentice and teach me your hunting skills? Chen Jianjun was taken aback when he heard this. In the past, quite a few people had come to his door wanting to follow him into the mountains to hunt and take him as their master. Ever since he encountered a big cat in the mountains and his leg became crippled, no one had said such things anymore. There were even rumors in the village that their family was unlucky. His wife had died of illness years ago, and after his son finally managed to marry a wife, she ran off within less than 2 years, without even bearing the family a child. Chen Jianjun felt somewhat conflicted, but replied with a cheerful smile, Wang, your father once saved my life. If you want to learn hunting, Of course I'll do my best to teach you. But let's forget about this master-disciple business. Between our two families, there's no need to be so formal. No, no, no. Uncle, one thing is one thing. Chen Wang shook his head, raised his cup, and said, I came rather hastily today, and didn't bring anything with me. I'll make it up another day. For now, let me toast you with 3 cups of liquor, and let's settle this master-disciple relationship first. What do you think? Chen Jianjun was deeply moved and nodded heavily. Master, here's my toast to you. Chen Wang drank 3 cups of liquor in succession. Chen Jianjun also drank 1 cup, a radiant smile blooming across his face. Good, good, good. Eat, eat. Master, tell me about the basics of hunting. Chen Wang said with a smile after picking up a piece of pheasant and eating it. Not all wild game tastes better than domesticated meat. This pheasant is quite dry and tough, with a very rough texture. No problem. Then I'll start by telling you how to spot prey and track prey. Okay. Actually, dogs are much better than people at this. Every good hunter has more than one excellent hunting dog. Uncle, have you raised dogs too? Chen Wang asked curiously. Chen Jianjun picked up his cup and took a sip of wine, a trace of loneliness showing on his aged face. I used to have 3 dogs. That time I ran into a tiger, 2 of the dogs died trying to save me. And the lead dog was badly injured too. It died within half a year after we got back. Chen Wang was momentarily speechless. He had never raised a dog, but he also knew that to a hunting dog is the most loyal and closest companion, the same as a comrade in arms who goes to battle with you. Let's not talk about that. Chen Jianjun waved his hand and said, good hunting dogs are hard to find. In a few days I'll ask around and see if I can find you some good puppies. As soon as he said this, looks of delight appeared on both Chen Wang and the other man's faces. Dad, you're being a bit unfair here. I've been hunting in the mountains for years, and I haven't seen you find me a single good dog, Chen Dazhuang said in a sour tone. Chen Jianjun put a fried peanut into his mouth and rolled his eyes. You've got some nerve saying that. Up to now, all you've hunted are pheasants and hares. What do you need a hunting dog for? Then last year, I even hunted a wild boar, didn't I? Wasn't that big game? A wild boar that's just over 100 gene counts as big game? That was just a little yellow-haired one. A yellow-haired pig is still a wild boar. Hee. Chen Wang quietly ate his food and watched the show, secretly amused. Then Chen Jianjun steered the conversation back to how to spot and track prey. On this point alone, there were so many tricks of the trade that Chen Wang was astonished. This meal lasted until after 9 o'clock. Chen Wang had the lowest alcohol tolerance and was the first to admit defeat. Neither Chen Jianjun nor his son urged him to drink more. Master, Brother Zhuang, I'll head back first then. Chen Wang got up to say goodbye. You okay? Should I have him walk you over? Chen Jianjun suggested with a face full of concern. No, I'm fine. A blast of cold air outside will sober me up. All right then, hurry back and get some rest. We still have to get up early tomorrow. Go get the flashlight for him. Okay. Chen Dazhuang immediately got up to look for the flashlight. Then father and son saw Chen Wang out the door. Master, Brother Zhuang, I'm off then. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Chen Wang walked along the village path with the flashlight in hand. Looking up at the night sky, he couldn't help being stunned by this beauty he had never seen before. There was a bright moon hanging high and stars glittering brilliantly. The entire Milky Way seemed almost within reach. How could later generations ever see such a clear night sky again? Chen Wang couldn't help feeling greatly uplifted and felt even more fortunate that he had come to this era. From afar, Chen Wang saw that the light in the room at home was still on. This feeling that no matter how late it was, someone would be at home waiting for you was something he had never experienced before. He unconsciously quickened his pace, and when he got closer, he found the front door left slightly ajar. Chen Wang pulled the door open and entered the house. Then after closing it behind him, he lowered his voice and called out toward the room. Honey, I'm back. Lin Xiuqin, wearing a thick padded jacket, walked to the doorway of the room and looked at him with a gentle smile. I had a bit to drink with them. We've agreed that tomorrow morning, I'll go into the mountains with Brother Dazhuang. Chen Wang explained with a smile. Lin Xiuqin nodded lightly and gestured for him to hurry into the room, while she herself went to the back room to pour water for him to wash his feet. Chen Wang entered the room, took the small booklet his father had left behind, and sat by the bed, reading it page by page. After a short while, Lin Xiuqin came in carrying a basin of warm water, set it by his feet, then sat on a low stool and washed his feet. Wife, Chen Wang called softly. Lin Xiuqin looked up at him, her beautiful eyes gentle as water. Wife, I like you. I really like you. Have 2 babies for me. Not knowing whether it was the alcohol going to his head, Chen Wang's gaze burned hot as he said something astonishing. This was the first time he had ever expressed love to a woman. The two girlfriends he had in his previous life had both taken the initiative. He thought they were pretty nice, and since it was about time for him to date, he agreed. Deep down, though, he didn't like them all that much. The strong yet gentle woman before him was the type he truly liked, the one who truly made him want a home, a warm bed with his wife and children. Lin Xiaoqin lowered her pretty face, flushed red, her heart pounding fast. She only felt that his words were far too embarrassing, yet she had no intention of resisting at all. If you don't say anything, I'll take it as your consent, okay? Chen Wang chuckled. Lin Xiaoqin raised her head and shot him a shy glare. Ask her to speak? Could she even speak?